All right, we're going to get going with the live soon. I have some thoughts, just making sure my streaming stuff is all up. I'm going to be simultaneously streaming this to Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So hopefully this works. It's kind of a little bit of an experiment for me. But thanks for joining if you are joining. Okay, let's roll right into kind of what I had prepared to say. Fear is part of life. We all feel it, but when fear is what drives your decisions as a man, especially, it poisons your role as a leader. Welcome to the Jon Dabach Show. I'm Jon Dabach, couples counselor, former rabbi, and today is where I do my Torah therapy segment. So before I get to answering your questions live here on the air, I'm going to speak a little bit about the weekly Torah portion where we look together for practical insights from the ancient wisdom of the Torah to help modern day relationships. And this week is all about fear. Fear can be really harmful in relationships. Instead of protecting the people you love, it erodes their confidence in you. Fear-driven men either become defensive and checked out or controlling and overbearing. And here's the thing, your wife and your kids sense it right away. They can smell it. That's why this week's Parsha, Shoftim, hit me so hard. So first of all, this is my bar mitzvah Parsha, so it brings back tons of memories of me studying for my bar mitzvah and not understanding much of what the heck I was saying. But as I reread it, I realized that here, in the middle of the laws of war, the Torah says something that isn't just about soldiers, it's about you and me right now in our own homes. The verse says, Mi ha'ish hayareh v'rach halevav yelech ve'yashov leveito. The man who is fearful and faint-hearted should go back home. Should just go back home. Essentially, that if you're a soldier who's afraid, not only are you useless, but you become a liability, and it's better you stay home than put other in harm's way. It's so simple and it's so deep. If you're ruled by fear, you don't belong on the battlefield. And let me tell you that marriage and fatherhood are the greatest battlefields of all. They require courage every single day. You can't fight for your family or love them properly if your heart is soft from fear. So today, we're going to break down 5 ways fear sabotages your leadership as a husband and father, and how you can replace it with courage and a grounded sense of strength. That's what Torah therapy is all about, right? When fear rules a man's heart, the very first thing it attacks is his ability to stay open. Think about it. When you feel threatened, even if it's just emotionally, your body goes into defense mode. Your arms cross, you shut down, you fire back with excuses. Fear convinces you that every question from your wife is an attack. Every request from your kids is a burden. Every disagreement is a challenge to your manhood. But here's the truth. The people closest to you don't want your defenses. They want your presence. A fearful man can't give presence because he's too busy protecting himself. And the more defensive you are, the more disconnected you become. The Torah calls this being rach halevav, soft-hearted. It doesn't mean tender or kind. It means faint-hearted, easily shaken. And when you're ruled by fear, your heart is soft in the worst way. Instead of standing firm, you're going to fold at the first sign of pressure. A strong man listens. A strong man breathes more before reacting. A strong man doesn't assume that his wife is trying to criticize him when she points out something she needs. And that strength doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from refusing to let fear dictate the terms of the conversation. If you want to lead your home, you have to put down your armor. Stop defending, stop explaining, stop justifying. Fear whispers, protect yourself. But courage says, be open, stand present. That's the battlefield. Here's the irony about fear. The more scared a man is, the more he tries to control everything around them. If you're afraid your wife might pull away, you start monitoring her words, her tone, her schedule. And if you're afraid your kids might mess up, you overcorrect, you lecture, or maybe you hover. Control is fear in disguise. It looks like strength on the surface, but everyone in the room feels its insecurity. The Torah doesn't tell a leader to dominate his people. A king is commanded not to gather too much power, wealth, or even too many wives. Why? Because the second leadership turns into control, it stops being leadership and it becomes tyranny. The same is true in your house. A husband who tries to control his wife doesn't make her love him more, he makes her trust him less. A father who tries to control every move his children make doesn't raise stronger kids. He raises kids who hide, who lie, or who break free the second they can. Guidance is different. Guidance says, I'll show you the way, and then I'll let you walk it. It's not hands off, it's hands open. It's the difference between leading out of fear and leading out of faith. Your family doesn't need you to be their warden. They need you to be their shepherd. Strong men don't squeeze tighter when they're afraid. They trust, they guide, they give space. And when they do, their wives respect them, and their children grow into people who actually want to follow their lead. That's not weakness. That's power under control. That's real leadership. Intimacy isn't built on flowers or fancy dates. It's built on safety. If your wife doesn't feel safe leaning into you emotionally, there's no intimacy, and nothing kills that safety faster than being afraid. Here's how it shows up. A fearful man either retreats or explodes. Retreating looks like shutting down during conflict, giving the silent treatment, avoiding hard conversations, or disappearing into work, TV, or even a phone screen. Exploding looks like raising your voice, overreacting to small things, or trying to win arguments through intimidation. Both patterns come from the same root: fear. Fear of not being enough, fear of being exposed, fear of rejection. But the woman in your life doesn't see fear. She just sees distance. She sees aggression. And both of those erode intimacy. They tell her, you're not safe with me. I can't hold your heart. Over time, that breaks trust. And once trust is broken, intimacy collapses. The Torah says if a man is yareh v'rach halevav, fearful and faint-hearted, he should go home. Why? Because you can't win battles if your heart isn't steady. The same goes for your marriage. You can't win her trust by hiding. You can't win her respect by yelling. What she wants is a man who can stay present in his fear without running or exploding. A man who says, this is uncomfortable, but I'm here. That's intimacy. Not grand gestures, just presence. Your kids don't need you to be perfect. They don't need you to have all the answers, but they desperately need you to be steady. A father's stability is like the foundation of a house. If it's cracked, everything else feels shaky. When fear drives you, you stop being steady. Kids are intuitive. They read your body language. They hear tension in your voice. They notice when you're quick to anger or constantly worried. Fear turns you into a thermostat of panic, and your children's emotions rise and fall with yours. The Torah teaches that the fearful soldier should return home. Why? Because fear spreads. It's contagious. If one man panics, the entire army loses heart. It's the same in your family. If you panic, your children inherit that panic. A courageous father doesn't mean a father without fear altogether. It means a father who refuses to let fear set the tone. When your child sees you stay calm in traffic, in arguments, in financial stress, they learn this is how a man handles pressure. That's better than any lecture you'll ever give. And when you fail, and believe me, you will, own it. Say, I was scared and I let it get the best of me. That honesty doesn't weaken you. It strengthens the bond because stability isn't about never shaking. It's about returning to balance fast enough that your family can still lean on you. Fear makes men stingy with their love. You give only when you're sure you'll get something in return. You hold back affection, appreciation, or even time because you're afraid of being taken advantage of or afraid that it won't be reciprocated. Now, that's not love. That's transaction. Generosity is the lifeblood of leadership. The Torah constantly ties greatness to giving. A king is meant to serve his people, not himself. In marriage and fatherhood, the same principle applies. But fear strangles generosity. It whispers, don't give too much. You'll look weak. Don't give unless she deserves it. Don't give unless the kids earned it. That's not strength. That's fear disguised as wisdom. Courage flips that script. Courage says, I'll give my best whether or not it comes back. That doesn't mean being a doormat. It means leadership with abundance, not scarcity. When you give love freely, when you pour out patience, when you step in with kindness before being asked, you create a culture of generosity in your home. And here's the secret: women respect men who give without fear. Children flourish under fathers who give without calculation. You don't lose power by being generous, you gain it. Because true generosity requires courage, and courage is what your family needs from you the most. With all that being said, I'm going to turn the phone lines on now. And this is being streamed, like I said, simultaneously across Facebook and Instagram, and I think YouTube as well. So you're welcome to write in with questions, but I might not see them as I'm bouncing between platforms. It's a whole new thing, but calls get to me no matter where you're coming from. So that's the easiest and most fun. So here's the phone line, 888-705-3830. If somebody is open to calling, it'll ring my little phone line here, and I'd be more than happy to talk to you. I do have some questions that I can answer that have come up via email that I've kind of taken notes for. So unless I get a call, I'm going to kind of go into some of those. So I have a question here from Idaho. Oh, we got a question line. Let's see. Hi, this is Jon Dabach. You're on the air.
Hi, Dr. John. My name is Etty Cohen. I'm from upstate New York, and I have a question about my 25-year-old son who has ADHD. And he's pursuing a master's in social work right now, so he seems to have it all together, except in one area where I need help with. He was dating a girl. He actually got engaged to her, and he was going to get married to her, but she started displaying really, to me, psychological issues, mental health issues, and stuff like that. So he broke it off with her, and we thought everything was okay, but now he's back with her, and he wants to marry her again. And I, as his mom, and he's 25, he's an adult, I understand that.
Yeah.
I have a problem with this, and I don't know how to approach it in a way that I'm not helicoptering him or holding his hand, but for him to realize that this is not healthy.
Sure. Do you have, let's dive in. First of all, Mazel Tov on him going and getting a master's in social work. It's a beautiful profession that's desperately needed.
Yes.
When you say you've noticed some mental issues, tell me a little bit about the behavior that you noticed.
I would say, and I can't diagnose because I'm not a professional, but more like what you would probably call personality disorder type things. Borderline, personality disorder. Things that she is socially doesn't seem to know her cues. She also gets, focused on something where she can't let go of it, and she holds on to anger for a very long time. And I also know she's being treated for clinical depression, so she's got that going. And she has had in the past suicide ideations. Okay. So that's
So it could be borderline. Could have some. If she's being treated for depression, obviously she has either major or minor depressive disorder, and then she's probably it could be some of the social cues might even be a little bit of a spectrum thing. What I would recommend is first of all to sit your son down in a very calm environment. Maybe you make his favorite dessert or something. Ask him over for tea by himself. Talk about how proud you are of him. You have to set the table, and really kind of provide a kind of a warm glow of motherhood. And I don't know what his relationship is like with his father if you're still married, but it's best if both parents do it.
Yeah.
And then you say, listen, we're concerned that you're 25 and you might have had a conversation like this already, so forgive me if you've already tried this, but this is the first line of defense. You say you're 25, marriage gets very difficult and complicated. As you guys go up and down financially, as you decide to grow a family, stress becomes very high, and the number one problem with mental health issues is they're almost all triggered by stress. And so if you think you have it challenging now, or you've had it challenging at points, we're concerned, you know. I mean, what's it going to look like if she's sleep deprived because she's breastfeeding? It gets much more difficult. And so before you jump into getting married, we would recommend, seeing a therapist who specializes in borderline or in whatever you think she might have, and talk to them one-on-one on what it is you're exactly signing up for. So you have a view of what the next 20, 30, 50 years might look like. Because every marriage, as you know, Etty, every marriage gets complicated, right? And even if people are as healthy as can be, it gets incredibly difficult at times. And if you
absolutely does.
And if you throw in trying to manage medication, depression, and borderline, and lack of social cues, I mean, he might pull the hair out of his head. So you have to say, look, I'm concerned for you. At the end of the day, if that doesn't work and he refuses to see a therapist, you don't have much leverage. I'll be honest with you. You can refuse to come to the wedding if you really think it's that traumatic, and that actually works with some kids. So I've had, in Jewish families, I remember I had a client who was, their kid was dating a non-Jew. They were Orthodox. That was like completely unheard of. Obviously, I'm, my own background, and they said, we won't be at the wedding, and it kind of woke the kid up that, like, you really are choosing between your family and this person. Turns out he backed off, and then the woman ended up marrying another Muslim, and they moved to the Middle East to an area that Jews wouldn't even be welcome in. So the son ended up saying, thank you, I dodged a bullet. But it doesn't always work that way. Sometimes they hold it against you for many years. So you're playing with fire.
Right.
The best is to try and lead them down the path of saying, like, is this really what's best for you? Ask yourself, what you have to paint the picture. When you are functioning on 2 hours of sleep and all your expenses has tripled because you have your own place and you're saving for a crib and all the formula and a breast pump and everything. And if she has a clinical, or a manic episode or something in that moment, are you going to be able to handle it? You have to be a tzaddik to be able to take that on. That is a crazy amount of responsibility.
But when I did kind of sort of speak to him that way, not as gentle perhaps.
Right.
I did give him the whole visual that you're saying, even more, visual that I can get, as much as I can be. And he says to me, Ma, everybody has problems. So what do you want? So I should just tell her, I don't love you anymore because you have these problems? That's how he looks at it. So
it's a great answer. It sounds like he's got a good head on his shoulders. And then you have to say, yes, everybody has problems. And in many ways, when you get married, you choose the problems you're willing to take on. And these problems are not small. There are people with smaller problems. And to pick the most challenging and difficult problems, that's not fair to yourself.
I did say that, actually. I did say that to him, yes.
So if he's not listening and he won't go to a therapist, unfortunately.
He is seeing somebody. Yeah.
So I would tell him, when you talk to your therapist, make sure you understand how difficult this can be. Have them paint the picture and ask them, is it selfish to say, you know what, this is more than I can handle? Or is it being responsible?
Right.
Some of us are able to... Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think part of his ADD is he cannot see the forest through the trees. He can't relate to what the future may look like for him. It's all words to him right now. And the self-awareness isn't there yet. I think that's part of what the issue is. That's the best way I can describe it.
Has he had a lot of, like, a really big struggle in the past with ADHD that was a difficult time in his life that you can remember?
Just regular school, not being able to focus. The calm kid, generally speaking. He's on an anti-anxiety pill, antidepressant, so to speak, right now.
Sure.
He seems to function okay. So I wouldn't say nothing crazy traumatic.
Yeah.
In that regard.
Yeah.
No.
So it's hard. It's hard for someone to really understand the challenges if they don't have firsthand experience either with themselves or watching someone else go through it. You also have to ask, is he dating her because he has this hero complex where he feels like he could fix her, or it's his responsibility to take care of her?
Yes, or he finds value in the fact that she's, she calls him her teddy bear and her savior and her this and her that. And I get it, and I understand that. But is that enough, or does he need to?
Well, I actually think that's unhealthy. You should. It's fine to feel like somebody's hero, and I hope that I can do that with my wife. But they also have to feel like a partner. And so you have to say It's another way to reframe it. But do you really feel like she's pulling the same amount of weight as you? It has to be a partnership. It doesn't have to be in the same area. Right? I mean, my wife takes care of the kids a lot more than I take care of the kids. But there has to be this sense of I can rely on you. Because the truth is there's going to be a time in your life where I'm not around, where your friends aren't around, and your wife, if you get kidney stones or if you have a heart scare, your wife is the one that's supposed to be with you in the hospital room helping you make decisions. And if she looks at you and puts you on this pedestal like you're the savior, then you're going to have a lot of very heavy moments in the future. You need a partner who can hold the reins sometimes.
That's a true, yes. I like that. You're right. You're absolutely right. You're right. And right now, I don't think it is that way. He seems to be the one that she puts her shoulder on him and complains and cries, and he doesn't have much of a voice.
Right. So you have to kind of help him see that. Could be also that you're misjudging it. There's always that possibility, and maybe she does a lot for him. I don't know. I hope so. I hope anybody in a relationship gets something out of it. I mean, it's not this specific case only. But yeah, you have to kind of show him that. And then, again, the only other leverage other than financial, if you support him at all, is to refuse to participate in the relationship. But that, again, that is playing with fire, and it's a big move, and you have to kind of, you have to decide if that's the right way to go.
Well, all four parents are not on board with this. None of us want this.
Her side as well?
Right now, for sure. Yes. Yes.
So that's interesting. Why is her side not interested in the relationship?
I think it's sour grapes, or so to speak, because we were the ones who broke off the engagement and let the parents know that we can't really deal with someone at this level of mental illness.
Gotcha. So they just feel like she won't be accepted. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Right. So nobody wants it. None of his friends think it's healthy. Nobody in his circle, thinks this is a good idea. You could do an intervention. I mean, you could, if everybody really feels that strongly, you can get the parents and the friends and everybody to stay together and say, we just don't approve of this relationship. Obviously, it's your choice, but we won't participate in the relationship. None of us will go to the wedding. None of us want to hear about the problems you guys have moving forward if you do decide to get together. So there is, I mean, it's not so common, but people do have relational interventions. Okay. I mean, that's another thought. I can perhaps do that right before Rosh Hashanah would be great.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And then whatever the problem is, he can apologize and Hashem will forgive him, and then he moves on with his life.
They just clapped an extra few times.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
All right. Well, it was nice to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you for your help, and Shana Tova to you and your family.
Thank you so much. Same to you.
And I'm Yisrael Chai.
I'm Yisrael Chai. Amen. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Take care.
Oh, it's a nice call. Okay, so getting back, if another call comes in, that's great. I have another 10, 20 minutes. But if not, I had somebody kind of tangentially related to this. They wrote me an email saying, what do you do when someone refuses to take medication, even though their therapist referred them to a psychiatrist? They went through the assessment, they got the medication, they're refusing to do it. So you have to ask, if they went through all those steps, why are they refusing to take it? Usually it's either stigma or a side effect. It's one of those two, right? One of those two. It could be that they disagree, but usually if they've already gone through a therapist and a psychiatric evaluation to get medication, the chance of it being, that they just don't agree, they probably would have stopped the process much earlier on. So usually it's a side effect or a stigma. They don't want to take medication because they feel like it says something negative about them, which is a very common issue. And then the other problem is the side effects. So a lot of medication has an effect on weight gain, which is one of the most popular reasons people don't want to take psychiatric medication, whether it's an SSRI or some other kind of family of drugs. Weight gain is a very popular one. If certain ones make you lethargic and sleepy, so things like lithium, that's a pretty strong drug for just normal anxiety. It's more of a bipolar medication. But they don't like that side effect. Libido, it will often decrease libido. So if you have a young couple, oftentimes they're afraid that their sex life will die. And so that's why they refuse to take it. So you have to kind of address the side effects. Sometimes if it's just the side effect, there's an alternate medication, right? So very often not to be stereotypical, just anecdotally in my practice, women won't want to take a medication that makes them gain weight. And so we try to find a medication that makes them not gain any weight or even lose weight, because there are a couple medications that help you lose weight or have a tendency to lose weight, or at least you have a plan. So, if you have like a diabetic patient who's on some kind of medication that's going to help, or not help, but kind of cause weight gain, sometimes it's helpful to also have, Manjaro or GLP-1s of some sort prescribed. We got another caller coming in. Let me just turn this speaker on here. This is Jon Dabach. You're on the air live.
Hi, John. I was calling about a marital issue with one of my children.
Sure. How can I help?
So, the wife is always demeaning my son and criticizing him and putting him down and making him feel, like he's stupid. And she had a big fit a while back during a holiday, and it was at Christmas, and she threw a fit over the gift he bought her, which was some really expensive tennis shoes that were over $100, and chewed him out in front of me because she said he didn't get the right ones, and that her daddy always gets her correct presents, and he doesn't. And she's very materialistic. It's just so sad, and she always is calling the police. She did in the past with her previous boyfriends that I was warned about when they were in high school, but I didn't understand. I thought it was a one-time deal, and so she told me to my face that she could do better. She thinks she's above him. He's beneath her, and he has his own company. He makes really good money, and they have 2 children together, and it's just so distressing for me. And I looked up all the symptoms, and I believe she's a histrionic bipolar, like personality disorder, like what's his name? Johnny Depp's girlfriend.
Amber Heard.
She's got the same symptoms. Yes.
What's your son? What does your son say about it when you talk to him?
Well, we had a big blow up because she started saying that she was better than him. All we were doing was reminiscing about high school and how when he was in high school, all the girls' moms were trying to get him to take their daughters to the prom. He's very intelligent. He's got a very high IQ. He's very handsome.
Have you talked to your son about it?
I tried. She threw me out of her house and started saying that, I can't. She told my son, I can't stand your family. They need to get out. It was at a Christmas.
How far away do you live from your son?
About 45 minutes.
Do you ever see him alone?
able to see him much. He's got his own company, and it's so busy, and I can't go to his house now because I don't want to have anything to do with her. And I'm very angry at her, and I'm upset that he didn't really stand up for himself when she was yelling and screaming and trying to make us leave. And I think he just puts up with her. And I tried to talk to him a little bit about it over the phone, but he said, "Oh, she was just upset. She's got a lot going on." I said, "Son, I'm your mother." She said she felt like she was better than you. It was all I could do to stand there and not, go off on her screaming and yelling. That's how mad I was.
Well, listen, you have to get him alone. And you have to get him alone away from the house. And you have to have a longer conversation. And you have to ask him how he feels. So there's two issues happening, right? One, well, whatever's going on with his wife, that's her own issue, right? So let's put that aside for a sec. The two issues I'm concerned about, at least talking to you, is one, how does he feel about it? Is he okay with this relationship the way it is? You have to actually ask him directly, are you happy in your marriage? Is this what you signed up for? Are you struggling, or do you think I only see her on her worst days and the rest of the time it's Disneyland at your house and for some reason she just doesn't like me? You have to get clarity, right? Because if he's happy beyond belief for whatever reason, and you're only seeing the worst side of her, he's never going to listen to you. But if you get him to open up and tell you, no, I really am miserable, but I don't know what to do, then you have an ability to say, well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about what you can do and what you can't. Maybe I can help. Maybe we can find you help. But if he's sitting there saying, ugh, I can't stand when my mom comes over because my mom and my wife fight, but as soon as they leave, I love them both to pieces, then you're barking up the wrong tree. The second problem we're dealing with is how you feel. So it sounds like she's rude to you, but you also hate seeing your son being belittled in front of her. That problem is really your own issue, and you have to see if the first issue stands. Because if he's happy and it's just a temporary thing that happens when all of you get together, then the break is the relationship between you and the daughter-in-law. And he can't get super involved with it. But if the problem is he's truly miserable and doesn't know how to get out of it, if you get him alone and you show that your care is really about his happiness and it's not in a rushed 5-minute conversation where he has to run home, people usually open up a little more. Because if someone is there to truly help, and they really are, and you say things like, I'll give you some lines you can use. I want what's best for you. If you feel like you have the world's greatest marriage and for some reason I just see the bad parts of it, I will shut up. I don't want to make problems for you if you're happy. But if you're secretly suffering, saying I could have had a much better marriage, what am I doing? I'm not happy. Please talk to me. I'm your mom. And let me see if we can figure out something to help you with this. And if you show him that, chances are he'll open up with you.
I hope so, because it's so distressing, and I know this is a pattern with her because one of his friends tried to warn me about her years ago. They're not married, they're just living together, but, they have 2 children together, so, but they told me she always gets upset with her boyfriends and she ends up calling the police, and it's a pattern, and I didn't know it was a pattern, though, because she's always been rude to me, and she's always, for no reason. I mean, I've tried to overlook how catty and sarcastic she is with him, and how she's always putting him down, but that was just going too far that day, so I'll take your advice, and hopefully I can get through to him, because I feel like I know he can't be happy. How can anyone be happy being verbally abused like that?
Yeah, I mean, chances are he's not happy. But if you show him that that's all you care about and you give him the option to say, no, I'm happy, even if he's lying, he might crack and, you know, shed a tear while he says it. So I'm trying to give you every possible ability to kind of get him to crack and be transparent with you. Thank you so much for calling. I do have to run. I have a patient starting very soon, but I appreciate the call, and
Thank you.
and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Okay. I'm going to end it here for today, everybody. I think I might try and do this every weekday for the next few weeks at 8 a.m. Pacific. So for an hour. So if you're interested in calling back at another time, you could try me tomorrow. Again, 8 a.m. Pacific or about there, you know, for about an hour. And we'll see how it goes. Thanks so much.